Dr. Lucas Hayes wasn't supposed to be here. Crevshaw Station's medical bay was designed for aliens. The air too thin, the gravity too light, the angles all wrong. He adjusted his collar. The unfamiliar uniform of the Terran Medical Corps scratchy against his neck. Outside the observation window, representatives from 19 species murmured in their galleries, awaiting the honor duel about to begin in the arena below. Why do we even participate in this barbarism? Lucas asked quietly, checking his trauma kit for the 10th time. Commander Elena Vance stood beside him, her gaze fixed on the arena sand. Because it's the only way newly contacted species get respect here. When a few fights prove we're not fragile. And maybe they'll stop treating our colony shipments like hazardous waste. Lucas's eyes tracked the security feeds, showing the station's overseer, Magistrate Vorlin. The Valari administrator had opposed human residency from the start, citing biological instability risks. His crystalline form glittered under the arena lights as he observed from the central booth. Surrounded by aides from species that had traveled stars when humans were discovering fire. All medical teams to standby positions, the intercom announced in standard. On the arena floor, the Valari champion Vorakish emerged 8 feet of engineered crystalline muscle, a being whose ancestors were literally designed for war. His opponent entered from the opposite gate. Sergeant Maya Rodriguez walked in like she was heading to a sparring session, not an interspecies deathmatch. At 5'7", she looked almost comically small next to Vorakish. She'd signed the mercenary contract under a personnel designator only, no name listed. Just another human trying to earn credits for her family's colony transport. She knows the stakes? Lucas asked. Elena nodded grimly. Her brother's settlement visa depends on this win. Vorlin made sure of that. The ceremonial gong sounded. Lucas's scanner came alive, monitoring 2 completely different biologies about to collide. He had a bad feeling, not about Maya's skill, or Hayes' skill, but about what would happen when these aliens saw what humans could survive. The first minute of the fight went exactly as the oddsmakers predicted. Vorakish moved with engineered precision, his strikes cracking the air. Maya dodged and weaved, her movements economical, but outmatched by biology that had been optimized for combat over millennia. She's holding back, Elena observed. Her voice tight. Smart, Lucas said, watching the medical readouts. She's studying his patterns. In the overseer's booth, Magistrate Vorlin made a dismissive gesture toward the human delegation. This confirms what I've said. Your species lacks the physicality for equal standing. Perhaps agricultural or service roles would be more appropriate. Elena's jaw tightened, but she kept her voice diplomatic. The fight isn't over, Magistrate. Vorakish landed the first solid blow, a glancing strike to Maya's shoulder that sent her stumbling. The crowd, a tapestry of alien forms, murmured appreciatively. This was what they expected. This was how biology worked. Superior force defeated inferior. Then Maya changed tactics. She stopped dodging and took a second hit squarely to her ribs to get inside Vorakish's guard. Her counterstrike wasn't elegant. An elbow to his joint seam followed by a kick to his stabilizing leg. Vorakish actually staggered, a ripple of surprise moving through his crystalline structure. The crowd fell silent. Her impact force shouldn't be sufficient to affect Valari physiology, one of Vorlin's aides said, consulting a tablet. Yet it is, Elena said quietly. Vorlin's faceted eyes narrowed. A temporary adjustment. My champion will adapt. But Lucas was watching Maya's biometrics. Her heart rate had barely increased. Her breathing remained controlled despite the bruising already forming on her ribs. She wasn't fighting like someone trying to win a match. She was fighting like someone who knew exactly how much damage she could take. The next exchange lasted 45 seconds. Vorakish, now taking the humans seriously, unleashed what should have been a finishing combination. A sweeping low strike reinforced with kinetic amplifiers, technology that could crack starship bulkheads dotted, connected with Maya's ribs with a sound like a tree snapping. Lucas's medical console erupted with alerts. The arena's embedded sensors transmitted the damage in horrifying detail. 6 ribs fractured, left lung collapsed, massive internal hemorrhaging. The automated trauma warning shrieked across 3 frequencies simultaneously in the observation booth. The station's chief medic, a Thalen named Crix, whose species evolved in low gravity, where falls could be fatal, stared at the readouts in disbelief. She's dead. Those readings indicate cascade organ failure. Why hasn't she dropped? On the arena floor, Maya stumbled backward. Blood trickled from the corner of her mouth. Her breathing came in short, wet gasps that the audio pickups transmitted with terrible clarity. Varakesh advanced for what should have been the final strike. Then Maya straightened. The Valari champion froze, his entire posture radiating confusion across species lines. "You should be down," his translator rendered with appropriate gravitas. Maya spat blood onto the sand. "Yeah, well, should have, could have, didn't." She moved forward. The crowd fell completely silent. This wasn't how biology worked. This wasn't how anything in their understanding worked. Lucas found himself standing, his medical training screaming that what he was seeing was impossible, even as he watched it happen. Her adrenaline just spiked to 4 times baseline. Crix reported, voice climbing an octave. That should trigger cardiac arrest in her species. Maya ducked under Vorakash's next strike and drove her fist into what passed for his solar plexus. The impact barely fazed him physically, but the psychological effect was immediate. The Valari had been engineered for war, but they'd also been engineered with sensible self-preservation instincts. When you hit something hard enough to break it and it kept coming, even engineered instincts suggested re-evaluation. In the overseer's booth, Magistrate Vorlin was no longer looking dismissive. He was studying the human with something that might have been the first flicker of unease. What followed wasn't elegant combat. It was something more primal. Maya moved with the ragged determination of a body operating on failing biology and sheer spite. Varakesh landed 2 more solid hits, one dislocating her shoulder with an audible pop, another that should have shattered her kneecap. She kept fighting by the time Varakesh made the mistake of hesitating in an honor duel, because nothing in his cultural programming covered opponents who refused to acknowledge damage. Maya had worked her way inside his guard. Her next strike, thrown with her one remaining functional arm, caught him in the throat. Valari could survive many things. Crushed tracheas were not among them. Varakesh went down choking. The arena systems immediately deployed medical drones and a stasis field. The fight was over. Maya stood swaying in the center of the arena, blood pooling in the sand beneath her feet. The crowd remained silent, not in respect, but in something closer to horror. Lucas was already moving with his trauma kit, but the felon medic Crix reached her first, scanners running over her injuries. "Don't touch those ribs. You need immediate surgical intervention. Your lung has somehow partially reinflated, but the damage." "Yeah, I figured," Maya said, her voice strained. She was pale, sweating, and looked seconds from passing out. "Probably cracked a rib into the lung. Happens." Crix stared. "You're describing catastrophic trauma as if it's a minor inconvenience." Maya shrugged with her good shoulder, then immediately regretted it. "I mean, it's not great, but I've had worse." From the observation gallery, a Kashari diplomatic observer spoke into the sudden silence. "What are they?" Nobody had an answer. The medical bay had never been so quiet. 3 physicians from different species, Crix the Thelen, Dr. Shendi the Kashari, and Dr. Vess, the short cuta, stood around Maya's examination table. having just thrown their instruments across the room in synchronized frustration. "Run it again," Shendy said, using all four arms to gesture at competing scanner displays. "There must be calibration errors." "Third scan," Crix muttered. "Same results. Bone fragments in lung tissue. Massive hematoma. Tissue hypoxia. And yet she won't stop talking," finished Dr. Vess, whose species considered silence a medical emergency. Maya, for her part, was sitting upright arguing via her cum implant. Don't care if it was unsporting. The contract said 50,000 credits for victory. Nothing about style points. "Please stop moving," Shendy said with exhausted patience. "Your physiology is attempting repairs, but the process defies cellular biology." "Look, I just need the lung thing sorted and something for pain," Maya said. "Everything else will handle itself." "Handle itself?" Crix pulled up a comparative chart. "When a felon sustains rib fractures, we require immediate surgical stabilization and 3 weeks in regeneration suspension. How long would a Kashari last with these wounds?" Shendy's expression did something complicated. "We would enter involuntary meditation stasis approximately 40 seconds after impact. Our nervous system has safeguards against operating damaged forms." Maya considered this. "So nobody just pushes through? Pushes through catastrophic trauma?" Crix's voice carried an edge. "No, because that would cause additional damage. Your species has pain receptors, correct?" "Oh, yeah. Hurts like broken glass stabbing me every time I breathe." "Then, why are you conducting financial negotiations?" Maya opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. "Because the fight's over. What else am I supposed to do? Lay here moaning? That won't make it hurt less." The silence that followed was the particular quality that occurs when multiple intelligent beings realize they're having a conversation across an unbridgeable conceptual gap. Shendy accessed the restricted files without hesitation. "Those are diplomatically sealed," Vess protested from the ceiling. "Then someone can file a complaint," Shendy said. "Crix, verify my authorization." 3 minutes later, they were reviewing incident reports that technically didn't exist. A human merchant vessel boarded by pirates' crew fighting with punctured abdomens, dragging themselves to escape pods with shattered femurs. A construction accident where a human worker directed his own rescue with 3 crushed vertebrae. A maintenance technician surviving 53 seconds of explosive decompression, remaining conscious until retrieval. "This can't be accurate," Crix said. "It is," Shendy said quietly. "I was consulting on that station. The first thing she did when pulled inside was check if her partner was injured." Vess descended, electromagnetic field dimming. "How many incidents?" Shendy's hands moved across the display. 47 confirmed cases in the past decade. Likely hundreds more unreported. Falls from lethal heights. Toxin exposures. Trauma exceeding survivable parameters for every other species. She looked up. "And they don't consider it exceptional." Maya had gone quiet on the examination table. "It's not," she said finally. "I mean, yeah, those are bad situations. But humans are resilient. It's just how we're built." "Just how you're built," Crix repeated slowly. "Your planet's gravity is 1.3 times Felon's standard. Your atmosphere would be toxic to Kashari. Your fossil records show multiple mass extinction events." 5 major ones, Maya said. "Maybe 6, depending who you ask." "And your species survived them?" "Well, our ancestors did. We evolved after the last one." Shendy's hands went still. "Your planet doesn't have safeguards. It doesn't have mercy mechanisms. It simply removes what cannot endure. Evolution's not exactly gentle." Maya agreed. The 3 physicians exchanged looks conveying profound unease across completely different biological architectures. I need to make a call, Shendy said. This requires theological input. The chamber was older than the station surrounding it. Original stone walls imported from Kashar Prime. Constellation maps predating faster than light travel. 6 beings occupied the space, representing species that had navigated stars when humanity was discovering fire. Elder Taisi of the Kashari spoke first. You're certain the medical data isn't corrupted? Witnessed personally, Shendy confirmed, still wearing surgical coverings. The humans sustained damage that should trigger every survival shutdown mechanism evolution provides. She simply declined to shut down. Declined? Ambassador Krell of the Valari repeated as if it were optional. Vorakesh has withdrawn from future combat contracts with humans. Krell added. He claims the fight was spiritually incorrect. Spiritually incorrect is not standard military terminology. Observed MechCorps Unit 847. The synthetic representative. It's the term he used, Krell said. He's convinced he struck an omen rather than an opponent. Taisi approached a panel of bioluminescent text 4,000 years old. And the enduring ones shall walk through places of ending, and they shall not fall. She turned. We have 348 commentaries on this passage. All assumed it was metaphorical. Until now, Shendy said. Director Kays of the Wayfarers Guild placed a data crystal on the table. I found 3 sites. 2 extinct civilizations from high-gravity, high-oxygen worlds. Both vanished 40,000 years ago, with mass graves showing battle damage. Our environmental suit emitted a sound that might have been a laugh. The 3rd site is still occupied. In the quarantine zone. Shendy leaned forward. Why was it quarantined? Because the investigation team never came back. The Kashari archives logged it as biologically hostile environment. Kaz activated the crystal. Gravity 1.3 standard. Oxygen 21%. Dominant life forms described as alarmingly persistent predators, demonstrating no appropriate fear response. What was the planet called? Krell asked, though his tone suggested he already knew. Catalog entry 4782T. The natives called it Earth. The environmental systems hummed. MechCorps' cooling fans cycled. That's circumstantial, Taisi said without conviction. Collectively, Shendy finished. It suggests humanity isn't the first time the universe has produced something like them. And the previous attempts didn't end well. Taisi turned back to the glowing text. The question isn't what humans are. The question is what shaped them. Their planet, Krell said. Evolution. Evolution toward what? Kaz interrupted. I've seen hostile environments. None would select for fighting with collapsed lungs. That's not adaptation to predators or climate. That's adaptation to war. MechCorps processed for exactly 2.3 seconds. The logical conclusion is that Earth is a filtering mechanism. Humanity survived not because they're exceptionally strong, but because everything weaker died. That's horrifying, Shendy whispered. That's accurate, Taisi corrected. And it means every human in space is descended from the species that won that filter. The recovery room was designed for multiple species adjustable gravity, customizable atmosphere, monitors for 17 biologies. Maya had disabled most of them because the beeping annoyed her. When Taisi, Shendy, and Krell arrived, she was doing stretches. Stop that immediately, Shendy said with exhausted authority. Just testing range of motion, Maya said, lowering her arm carefully. Can't afford stiffness setting in? You sustained life-threatening trauma 6 hours ago. And if I don't move, it'll heal wrong. She shrugged carefully. Basic injury management. Taisi settled into a self-adjusting chair. We need to ask questions about your species. We've reviewed incident reports and found a pattern. Humans don't stop, Krell said bluntly. When any reasonable organism would shut down to prevent harm, humans continue. Why? Why we don't give up? Maya asked. Or why we don't die when we should? Both. Maya looked between them, her expression settling into comprehension. You think we're anomalous? She paused. My grandfather got his leg caught in farming equipment, broke his femur in 4 places, severed an artery. He made a tourniquet, drove himself 15 kilometers to the hospital, and walked into emergency, refusing painkillers to stay alert. The delegate stared. My sister fell 3 stories, fractured her pelvis and spine. She stayed conscious doing mental math and talked rescuers through the extraction so they wouldn't cause more damage. Maya shifted, winced. We've got people pulling others from burning buildings with 3rd-degree burns. Mothers lifting vehicles off children. A researcher amputating his own frostbitten fingers with a pocket knife. Why would evolution select for this? Shandy asked. What environmental pressure requires this resilience? Maya laughed, then regretted it. Ice ages lasting tens of thousands of years. Volcanic eruptions blocking the sun. Asteroid impacts. Predators that could outrun, outclimb, and definitely outfight us. Diseases that killed millions. She met their eyes. We didn't get tough because we're special. We got tough because everything on Earth was trying to kill us. The stuff that wasn't trying still succeeded by accident. Taizi's 4 hands gestured in respectful acknowledgement. Every other species evolved with safety mechanisms because their environments allowed recovery. Yours didn't, so you didn't. That's bleaker than I put it, but sure. It's terrifying, Taizi corrected, because it means every human carries adaptations necessary to survive a planet that spent millions of years killing everything weaker. As they left, Maya called after them. Hey, that fight contract's still valid? You nearly died, Krell said. Nearly isn't actually. Payment clears? Shendi made a sound between laugh and despair. It clears. Excellent. Let me know about other challengers. I could use the work. After they left, Maya resumed her stretches as her bones knitted and her lung finished reinflating her body, going about the routine business of not dying. Somewhere in administration, someone updated arena protocols. Human opponents require extreme caution and comprehensive medical oversight. In the margin, a handwritten note added, they don't know they're terrifying. That might be the most terrifying part. In her recovery room, Maya scheduled her next 3 contracts. Business as usual. The universe continued spinning, now with the uncomfortable awareness that it contained beings who'd learned to survive by simply refusing to accept that survival wasn't guaranteed. Evolution had rolled the dice on Earth and gotten an answer that made everyone else nervous. The dice was still rolling.